Good morning. Happy hump day. Well, let's hope you're the humper and not the humpy. I'm back on the night of this morning. It's rough again. The wind's blowing out of the east. Not as hard as it was yesterday, thankfully. So the wind's been blowing 15 plus miles an hour now since Friday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it was out of the west-northwest. Monday, Tuesday, now Wednesday, it's been blowing out of the east. Monday blew out of the west-northwest as well. Yesterday and today are now blowing out of the east. We've got a little bit of warm weather, which is what the east wind is from, or which is why, because of the east wind. But I think it is safe to say that it has completely scattered these fish. The piles over the weekend have dwindled Monday, Tuesday, and today. I've caught 11 walleyes this morning, only one keeper, and he was barely a keeper. I've been out searching this big deep flat where they were Friday, Saturday, and I'm seeing some fish, but I'm not seeing the groups like I did. That mega school, I just don't see it. But part of fishing is putting the equation together on a daily basis. It's finding them, taking their temperature, and hopefully catching them. But if not, it's moving on, knowing when to cut the cord and say, all right, well, I found fish, but these fish are not doing what I want them to do. So now I got to go look for other fish, new fish, different fish. Now that might be 100 yards away or 100 miles. Who knows? We all have, I would think it's safe to say everybody probably has a milk run, of certain spots where they've caught them in the past. I do. And I check certain spots if I have time. Now this morning, it's during the week. It's 5 minutes to 9 now. When I finish with you guys, I got to get out of here and get back to the job site. Days like this, you don't mind going to work because it's slow, It's rough, it's slow. At least it's warm and it's not raining. But not a ton to report. Now, one thing I will say, and I don't know if this is, I just was thinking about it this morning, and I haven't really talked much about technique, fall jigging technique. I don't know that it's terribly different for me than any other time of the year. I think the biggest thing that I do differently is, I gauge what I see on my electronics as to how many fish are in the area, and then I fish them accordingly. One thing I have found myself doing here recently is when I find a big school, especially when it's rough out, I'm really aggressively jigging. Whether it's a blade, whether it's a shiver style minnow, I'm really jigging aggressively. The bigger the waves, the more the wind, I think the harder that and the more aggressively and the faster and the sharper I make all my movements. Now, like Saturday, I had my friend Tony with me. Him and I jig very differently. He's a little slower, a little more woo, like this, where I tend to be, like that. Shorter, controlled, very fast. But I tend to think that the more the surface is riled up, it's creating currents down below, the wind current and everything. And in my opinion, it gets those fish hot. And when they're hot, I think they want to see things really moving. I'm sure people will say, no, when it's rough like that, I slow down, I finesse them, and it works every time. It could, you know, you can do different things and have them both be correct. There is no one absolute in fishing. Fishing is theoretical. It is putting a theory of what you want to do and where you want to do it and how you want to do it into practice, and then doing a scientific method test on it to see if it then equates to fish bites. So the theory on a daily basis is you got to locate them first. Then you got to figure out what they want. And then you got to figure out how to get it to them. You put those three ingredients together, you're going to have success. Got to find them. You can't catch what isn't there. Got to find them. And now for the last 3 days, that hasn't been easy. I went and fished the two and looked in the two spots, the last two spots I had contact with them. So I don't want to have to go and start looking in whole new areas again, because I had fish good in a couple spots. Now, what I want and what happens may be two different things. Maybe two completely different things. It's hard to say. But I'm trying to hold off purposely going into all new areas. I say new, recently new, and having to start from scratch and start finding them again. So we'll see. Oh, I said it yesterday too. If anybody's watching this late into the show, we didn't have enough interest for the striper trip. If something changed this week and all of a sudden 25 guys said, hey, I'm in, we can do it in that quickly. But as of right now, it's a no-go. We didn't have enough interest. And listen, I don't have any problem with planning these kind of trips, but maybe you guys tell me, you know, was it too much money? Was it too much in one day? I'd like some feedback so I know for next time. All right, last cast. Last cast for love. Homie made a triumphant return today. He did 6 walleyes and a couple perch this morning, and with the only keeper of the day. All right, I'm out of here. Happy hump day. I'll see you guys tomorrow sometime, somewhere. Thanks for joining me as always, and keep your tip up.